back. Next week, you have Juha Henriksson from the Finnish Musicology.
Thank you after these two fine presentations. This is not any presentation of a study or something. I just want to talk about, I've written one dissertation and 4 books about Finnish popular music. And in each book I have chosen a little bit different way how to popularize music research, because I want to write not only to scholars but to musicians and music lovers too. So I work as the director of music archive at JAPA, which is an archive of Finnish popular music. I'm a music researcher also, a non-fiction writer. My dissertation work was about functional analysis of jazz and about Charlie Parker, and then I've written books about Toivo Kärki, Erik Lindström, Rauno Lehtinen and Jaakko Salo after that. But also some articles and also liner notes quite a lot during the last few years. And in these liner notes I have quite a lot thought about how to popularize my writing, how to write to music lovers, how to write to ordinary people, especially those liner notes called CD boxes for Eerola, Kari Tapio, both very famous Finnish singers. They were like 20-30 pages long liner notes about each and every title of those boxes. Writing about music, what is the target group? Is it music analysts, music researchers, cultural researchers, musicians, music lovers, ordinary people? In my dissertation it was, of course, because it was about music analysis. It was music analysts mainly. But after that, more and more I have concentrated on writing about first musicians and also music lovers, and my last 2 books also to ordinary people. Because I want to write in Finnish because I write about Finnish popular music, and I think it's very important that we also write in Finnish, not only in English. And if I write in Finnish, there are a couple of scholars who will read my books if I only concentrate on scholars. I want to write books that people also will read. So this is my dissertation, Chasing the Bird, Functional Harmony in Charlie Parker's Bebop Themes. It was quite theoretical study, music analysis. It was based on the theory of harmonic function, mainly by Hugo Riemann, but also some other German scholars, for instance Dieter de la Motte. The theory of harmonic function, ESA has done pretty much the same. There are these categories, tonic, subdominant, dominant categories, and there are these mysterious letter combinations that I have used. Tonic, subdominant, dominant parallels, dominant of the dominant. This DE is a symbol I have invented. It's a dominant ersatz accord, the dominant substitute that's used in jazz a lot. So if I zoom this a little. So this is from my dissertation, so it's not very ordinary people, they just can't understand what it's all about. And use these functional symbols, chord, note numbers. So after the dissertation I tried to figure out how I must change my way of writing in order to be able to write to musicians also. This is also my dissertation, so there is some dominant substitutions and different ways how to interpret them. But that was not why I wanted to continue after all, because I wanted to write also to other people than scholars. So that was my first, say, popular book. It was not so popular yet, but there was something I changed from the dissertation, the musical style of Toivo Kärki. It was co-written by Risto Kukkonen. Toivo Kärki is one of the major figures of the history of Finnish popular music. He was composer, arranger. He composed over 1,450 recorded tunes, and he was the producer of Musicology, the largest record company in Finland. So his influence in Finnish popular music was very great. This book is quite traditional musicological study. It's based on a sample of 80 recorded tunes, but I also used sheet music, quite many interviews, and also printed material and other stuff. It's not only musical analysis, there is this short biography, but I concentrated on the musical thinking of Kärki, not his personal life. That same is true also for my other books. I'm not interested in all those romances and other personal life things, but only in the musical thinking of these people. What I changed from a dissertation, I didn't use anymore these function symbols, although I used them when analyzing music myself, but in the book I didn't use them because I think they are not so widely known. Instead I used these Roman numerals, which are quite widely used, and also absolute chord symbols. Another way to popularize a little bit more, there is a glossary of music terms, so those that are not familiar with the basic music terms, there is a glossary in the end of the book. And when I speak about perfect fifth, I always say in A minor, it's for instance A, E. But it's a quite traditional study otherwise. Here is the content, so there is this part of the musical career of Toivo Kärki, but then also his compositional techniques and other musical thinking, which I have studied by interviewing his colleagues. Kärki was already dead when I wrote this book. But then there is this very two-thirds about the book is analytical part, so very structured, basic stuff, I think. So no functional symbols here, and always when I speak about, for instance, diminished chord that resolves to tonic, there is always example by absolute chord symbols in order to help the reader a bit. And then there is this glossary of music terms. Well, in the next book, it was a little bit different. It's a little bit more popular, I think. It's Spengat and Erik. Swinging Erik, the life and music of Erik Lindström. He was also, he was alive when I wrote this book. He died a couple of months ago at the age of 93. For instance, he's selected as the Finnish jazz legend #1, the first Finnish jazz legend, a very important figure in the Finnish jazz scene. The biography part was autobiography. He wrote it himself with a mechanic typewriter, but his mother language is Swedish, so I have to edit it quite a lot. But then it's about 150 pages, and then there is a separate analyze section. So that's one way to popularize things. There is ordinary biography and then separate analyze section. So here is the content. So there is this, to the left there is this biography, and then 45 pages of quite similar analysis as in the Toivo Kärki book. There were quite many funny stories by Lindström in the biography part, and then in the analysis there is this statistical analysis of different dance genres he has used, but there wasn't any else. But otherwise it was pretty much the same concept than in the Toivo Kärki book. So that's one way to popularize biography, and then separate analysis section. Those who are not interested in the music analysis, they just can skip the whole analysis section. The next one was about Rauno Lehtinen, and then a slightly different approach there. I have not analyzed a large sample of his tunes, but I selected only 15 tunes to analyze, but in that way that each and every example reveals something general. For instance, that I can make comments about how he uses certain melodic motifs or some popular music structures. I have chosen the examples in that manner. And also I popularized a bit further. There are not accurate references, but they are collected in the end of the book. So the analyses are there chronologically put there in the. There are quite a lot of funny stories. I'm a scholar, but I tried to write as funny as I can. Because Rauno Lehtinen was a storyteller. He was very good at telling funny stories, and he invented many performances that other people then tell us funny stories. So there are those. So that's one way to popularize. But then the references, they are all there. You see there in the text there are no references, but they are collected there in the end. And then analysis there with a little bit different font. And in the last book I have written so far about Jaakko Salo, there I tried a little bit different method. I didn't have any long examples, but just a chapter or two there where I verbally, mostly verbal, analytical comments, the same method that I have used in those liner notes. And also I tried to write some kind of journalistic approach where quite a lot direct quotations by Salo and his colleagues. That's the way the journalists write about music. I tried it here to make it, because Salo, there went so many funny stories about him. When he was interviewed, he was also dead, and Lehtinen was also dead when I wrote these books. So I couldn't interview them by myself, so I have to use interviews by other people. Salo always was very accurate, and when one asked about him, he speak quite general about Finnish popular music. But his colleagues and Salo's direct quotations, I think I managed to make the text a little bit more live than in traditional way. And that also concentrates on his musical career, not about his personal life. So, I don't think how much if you get about this, but 4 books and 4 a little bit different approaches. So here is, for instance, I don't know if you can see, but this is a little bit longer analysis about 7 kertaa 7, 7 times 7, one of the I think most known compositions by Salo. So there is a little bit background of that tune. It was written for a movie. There are some comments about the movie, and then some verbal comments about the instrumentation and arrangement of the tune, and then also some comments about the chord structure, which is Salo, Lehtinen, Lindström, Kärki. They were all in their heart jazz musicians, so they used chord structures that are used in jazz. But Salo also adapted some harmonic solutions from popular pop music. And this is one example. There is a little bit quite similar chord structures than in the I'm the Walrus by John Lennon in this tune. So that was was that. Thank you. And perhaps you want to ask some questions. We have 5 minutes left.
Right. Anyone, please?
Yes, sure.
Apologies for not understanding Finnish, but I would like to know the anecdote. But I was thinking about, do you fuse the history and the anecdotes with the analysis, or do you keep them, I've got the impression you keep them separate with the...
Not really, but
do
if
use-
they are about those tunes, then I connect of course.
And is
Yeah.
that the way
Yeah.
to popularise and your work and encourage people to engage with music analysis? Is that the
Yeah, sorry. I should have mentioned that I always try to, the tunes that I have chosen, for instance, in that Rauno Lehtinen book, for example, were also those tunes that he himself talked about those interviews. And also in this JAPA Salo book, I write more about those tunes that he had himself said something, and then I connect those comments in the music analysis, but in the way that they are not necessarily true what they have said about the music. Yeah, so I have to find out in the analysis if they are accurate or not, and make some comments about that also. Very good question. That was one thing I should have mentioned.
Well, I wonder whether perhaps I hadn't picked up on that because of not understanding the Finnish side of things.
Perhaps there is this this is about the Lehtinen book. There were, for instance, here is some comment about sound engineer that came from Sweden, because there was this multi-recording. He played electric mandolin many times with himself, and in the 1960 or 61, when this was recorded, that was not so easy to do in the studio in Finland. There were only 2 tracks, so you have to record all over again. So here is one example of his comment which I've used in the analysis. But yes.
Yes, I applaud your approach to try to make the analysis available to the wider public. This is a big problem we have in music analysis, I think, and it just doesn't mean anything to even many musicians, I think. So I'm interested in your approach to analysis. How do you, I'm afraid I can't read Finnish. So my question is probably very ignorant. But I was wondering what sort of approach to analysis you were taking. Is it looks like a harmonic analysis? Do you look at things like affect or meanings involved with the music? Or what is your approach when you talk about your approach?
Traditional structure, for instance. Here is a comment of that in this tune, Lehtinen uses AABA structure, and then I also said something about that in Finland, according to Risto Kukkonen's study, 39% of the minor mode hit tunes during 1929, 1960, and 96 used this structure. So it's very, very popular in Finnish popular music, because these guys that composed these tunes, they all had jazz background, so they used this AABA. So I try to link these things to a wider thing, the Finnish popular music. about the melodic motives. This motive this is in A minor. Or this leap up -6 and then downwards, which used so much in Finnish popular music. So there must be some meaning about in it, and that's one thing I comment in this analysis. But when I listen to music, I do not listen to words and their meaning. So I have not, in my analysis, very little made comments about the lyrics. It's mainly this traditional, like chord structure, the whole tune structure, melody. But also if there are some hooks in the arrangement, some sounds, some interesting ways how to use clarinet and tuba simultaneously, or things like that. So I think it's quite like hook analysis. I try to pick out those things that I think are important in that tune.
All right. Well, thank you, Juha. Okay, I think next we have Sue Miller.